This is Radio 2, in tune with you on 433 and 330 meters, frequencies of 693 and 909 kilohertz, and on VHF. And now here is Alan Dell.
Good evening. This time is normally reserved for big band sounds, but this evening we're paying tribute to one of the foremost singers of the best in popular songs during the last 40 years, Dick Haymes, whose death we learned of last weekend. Of course, it's appropriate that this tribute should be in this space because Dick began his recording career as a singer with a big band, for a brief space with the Bunny Berrigan Orchestra, but his first major job was with the relatively young Harry James Orchestra in 1940.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's 12 in the East, and NBC proudly presents something to write home about. Harry James, the nation's #1 trumpet man, and his orchestra coming to you from the beautiful Southland restaurant located on Warren Street, just out of Park Square here in the Hub City. Stick with us and enjoy the ride. It's going to be 30 minutes of the stuff you like. It's Dick Haymes, vocalist, who calls the band's attention to this celestial fact. Gentlemen, how high the moon.
Somewhere there's music, I'll paint the tune. Somewhere there's heaven, how high the moon. There is no moon above when love is far away too, till it comes true that you love me as I love you. Somewhere there's music, it's where you are. Somewhere there's heaven, how near, how far. The darkest night would shine if you would come to me soon. Until you will, how still my heart, how high the moon.
Dick Haymes with the Harry James Orchestra air-checked on a broadcast from the Southland restaurant in Boston on March the 19th, 1940, one day after he had made his first appearance in a recording studio with the James Band. At that moment in time, no one was aware of Dick Haymes, but it wasn't long before big band aficionados noted his presence on James's records. Within a relatively short time, I, like millions of others, had become a devoted fan of Haymes, the singer and film actor. And almost exactly 29 years after that first record session, I at last met my idol here in the studio and broadcasting house when I talked to him for a Be My Guest program. And we began at the beginning, his birthplace, Buenos Aires.
Was born there, but in passing, if you know what I mean, or you probably don't. But my father and mother were on holiday, and they were going through Argentina, and I decided to be born. And after I was born, we left. So I don't have any Argentinian blood in me, or I'm not Spanish, to clarify the picture. I'm a dreadful combination of being half Scottish and half Irish.
Mm.
So there you are. You see, these myths arise from
that's
many.
Yes, and good publicists who work on these things.
Yeah.
And from there, did you go, to America?
Yes, we went to the States from there, and I spent a relatively short time in the United States, and then actually the formative years of my youth were spent in Europe, because I spent a great deal of time in France, and then I went to school in Switzerland. And after Switzerland, then I went to university in Montreal at Loyola. After Loyola, I went back to the States, and I was trying to write some songs, which I auditioned to Harry James, who just left Benny Goodman.
That's right.
I played the songs for him, and he wasn't interested at all. And he'd had a new singer, which had just left him. He'd gone on to another band, and his name was Frank Sinatra.
Seem to have heard of him somewhere.
Yeah,
Yes.
well, he does all right. So Harry needed a replacement. And he, as I say, he didn't like the songs, but he hired me to
Sing with the band.
sing with the band.
And you made
$50 a week.
$50 a week? Big money.
Listen, for me, that was beautiful.
Old man River, that old man River, he don't say nothing and he must know something. He just keeps rolling, he keeps on rolling along. He don't plant potatoes and he don't plant cotton, and them that plants 'em is soon forgotten. But old man River, he just keeps rolling along. You and me, we sweat and we strain, bodies all aching and racked with pain. Tote that barge, lift that bale, you get a little drunk and you land in jail. I get weary and sick of trying, tired of living and feared of dying, but old man River, he just keeps rolling along. You and me, we sweat and we strain, bodies all aching and racked with pain. Tote that barge, lift that bale, you get a little drunk and you land in jail. I get weary and very sick of trying, tired of living and feared of dying, but old man River, he just keeps rolling along.
Old Man River, a minor classic for Dick Haymes and Harry James in January 1941. And I also recalled, during that interview, several other notable records he made with the band, particularly one called You've Changed.
That was strange, by the way, because we had a new girl singer whose name I do not recall because she was with us for about 20 minutes. And she came to the record date, and she just couldn't cut it. She got very nervous. It wasn't her fault. She was very young, and she just couldn't make it. So Harry said, why don't you sing it? And I said, well, it's down in the basement, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I suppose that's where I got the reputation for the low notes, because it was about 2 tones too low for me, but we cut it, and strangely enough, the record did well. You know, you study and find out what your range is and everything else, and you find out that something that's completely awkward can turn out to be a hit, like Little White Lies was an extra side, by the way. Yeah. We had a 3-hour date, and we'd cut the 4 major sides with Gordon Jenkins, and we had a half hour to go, so he said, well, why don't we throw something else in? It was a sort of a head arrangement of what you call busking, and we did it with 4 hits and a miss, and there you are. I had a terrible cold, and I've hated the record then, and I still hate it, and it was the biggest sell I've ever had in my life.
The moon was all aglow, and heaven was in your eyes. The night that you told me those little white lies, the stars all seem to know that you didn't mean all those times. The night that you told me those little white lies, I tried, but there's no forgetting when evening appears. I sigh, but there is no regretting in spite of my tears. Who wouldn't believe those lips? Whoever could those eyes. The night that you told me those little white lies.
And that indeed was one of several million sellers that Dick Haymes had in the mid-1940s. But we moved a little too far ahead in the story. After more than a year and a half with Harry James, during which he shared songs with Helen Forrest, as a matter of fact, was to figure prominently in his later radio work, Dick Haymes moved for a short space to Benny Goodman. And then, again following in the footsteps of Frank Sinatra, he moved on to Tommy Dorsey.
Of course, in those days, Alan, Tommy Dorsey Band was the sort of royalty of bandom.
Indeed.
He was, to my way of thinking, the last of the big band leaders. And he did everything for a singer. He gave you a showcase. In other words, it wasn't walking out and singing a song in the middle of a band chorus and so forth. He arranged it so that you were built and billed properly. And it was everybody's dream to sing with Tommy Dorsey. But the ironic part of it was that I joined Tommy at the end of Frank's first week of notice, so that he had another week to go.
Yeah.
So we were together, and I'll never forget it. We were playing the Capitol Theater in Washington. We were doing 7, 8 shows a day, which is unbelievable in this country. And he'd do one show, and then I'd do the next show, and he'd do the next one, and we'd do the next one. We got on very well. We're still very good friends. But it's kind of interesting because, you know, for Haymes and Sinatra to be...
Two name singers on the one
on
bill.
the same bill.
You're
Yeah.
indeed. And I have here the actual farewell of Frank Sinatra on his
Oh, yeah, I
part.
have that too. Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah, Tommy gave me that.
That's
actually.
right.
After tonight, he's going to be strictly on his own. And, Frank, I want to tell you that everyone in the band wishes you the best of luck.
Thanks, Mac, and I'd like to say that I'm going to miss all you guys after kicking around for 3 years. And ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to meet the boy who's going to take my place as the vocalist with Tommy in the band. He's a fine guy, a wonderful singer, and he was good enough for Harry James and Benny Goodman, and that's really saying plenty. Folks, I'd like you to meet Dick Haymes. Well, Frank, I don't know if anyone can really take your place with this band, but I'm going to be in there trying. You can bet on that. Daybreak, another new day. The mist on the meadow is drifting away. For it's daybreak, the sun's in the sky now, and flowers break through their blanket of dew. Sunrise, how lovely it seems to see from my window a sky full of dreams.
daybreak, I daydream of you.
Sadly, almost all Dick Haymes' best work as a big band vocalist with Tommy Dorsey was never recorded commercially because of a musician's recording ban. But there are existing air checks of broadcast performances, many of which I have featured in the Big Band Sound programs over the years, and I've no doubt will again in the future. In fact, that musicians' union ban coincided with Dick Haymes' decision to go solo, again following in the footsteps by Sinatra. But in fact, Dick preceded Sinatra into the recording studios by about a month to cut the first of a series of 78s, on which he was accompanied by a vocal chorus, the Song Spinners, in place of the band orchestral musicians. And that very first record, a snatch of which broke in a little while ago, also became a million seller.
You'll never know just how much I miss you. You'll never know just how much I care. And if I tried, I still couldn't hide my love for you. You ought to know, for haven't I told you so? A million or more times you went away, and my heart went with you. I speak your name in my every prayer. If there is some other way to prove that I love you, I swear I don't know how. You'll never know if you don't know.
You'll Never Know, Dick Haymes' first million seller on a 78. And more bestsellers followed that, so it was obvious that Hollywood should start taking an interest. When did you make your first film?
I'd say early 1943. It was called Four Jills in a Jeep, with Martha Ray, Kate Francis, Phil Silvers. It was very much of a war film, you know, with music, with a good score.
Yes.
Jimmy McHugh score. And How Blue the Night came out of that.
Right. It's the one I remember.
Yeah.
How blue the night, how long the day, how blue the night with you away, how strange it seems, just living in dreams. I'm left in the moon glow, but where did the moon go? The stars on high that used to burn are standing by for your return, until my arms are holding you tight. how blue my heart, how blue the night, how blue the night.
And of course, after that, everything happened at Fox. I went out to Fox to do one film. Then I got a very fat deal for 2 films a year, and the next one was Diamond Horseshoe with Betty Grable. And after that, everything seemed to fall into place for quite a long time.
Diamond Horseshoe, of course, has some marvelous songs in it. 2 of the songs that most people, certainly in this country, remember you best for, I think.
Yes, Diamond Horseshoe, I think, had all the elements of a good Hollywood musical. It had color, it had Grable, and all kinds of pretty girls, and again, Phil Silvers, and Harry Warren, Mac Gordon's score. And I run it today and still enjoy it. I don't mean looking at myself, I just enjoy the film. Because when I look at myself on the screen, it's somebody else, Alan. You know, it's...
Is that how you look at it?
Now I do, yes. Although it's a paradox, because it is somebody else up on the screen who is, you know, heaven knows how much younger. But on the other hand, moments of making that film come back so vividly that even if you threw me a cue, I think I'd answer you with the right line.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's right, nice and slow and easy.
Wish I knew someone like you could love me. I wish I knew you place no one above me. Did I mistake this for a real I knew, but only you can answer. If you don't care, why let me hope and pray so. Don't lead me on. If I'm a fool, just say so. Should I keep dreaming on or just forget you? What shall I do? I wish I knew.
Diamond Horseshoe led on to When Irish Eyes Are Smiling. And then, what was the film after that?
Oh, Lord. State Fair, I guess.
State Fair.
Yeah, State Fair. And, of course, that was an all-time smash. It's become a classic. And strangely enough, we didn't expect it to be. Walter Lang is a very sensitive, fine director, and William Perlberg, and we took the old Will Rogers story, which
had been filmed before, in fact.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, of course, we had Rodgers and Hammerstein to write the score, which was their first efforts screen-wise.
And got an Academy Award.
Right. And it only took 3.5 months to shoot. And as I say, we didn't expect it. Everything sort of fell into place, and it became a very lovely little film, which became a blockbuster, you know.
Big feature ride of the fair. Come in, get your tickets for the next ride. This is the highest, fastest, safest ride at the fairgrounds. Get tickets now for the big, fast ride. Oh.
Come on, I dare you.
I'm game.
Money? Two, please.
What you thinking about?
Why?
You sort of had a funny smile on your face. You really want to know?
Uh-huh.
Well, I was just thinking about you practicing all that time with your mother's embroidery hoops, just to get even with somebody.
I guess you think I'm kind of screwy, don't you?
No, I don't. I don't at all. As a matter of fact, I like that kind of a fella.
That's lucky for me because I like the kind of a girl who likes that kind of fella.
It's a grand night for singing. The moon is flying high. And somewhere a bird who is bound he'll be heard is throwing his heart at the sky. It's a grand night for singing. The stars are bright above. The earth is aglow, and to add to the show, I think I am falling in love. Falling in love. It's a grand night for singing. The stars are bright above. The earth is aglow, and to add to the show, I think I am falling in love. Maybe it's more than the moon. Maybe it's more than the bird. Maybe it's more than the sight of the night and the light too lovely for words. Maybe it's more than the earth, shiny and silvery blue. Maybe the reason I'm feeling this way has something to do with you.
Say, you're pretty good in that voice department yourself.
I'm an old Glee Club boy.
And somewhere a bird who is bound he'll be heard is throwing his heart at the sky. It's a grand night for singing. The stars are bright above. The earth is aglow, and to add to the show, I think I am falling in love. It's a grand night for singing. The moon is flying high. And somewhere a bird who is bound he'll be heard is throwing his heart at the sky. It's a grand night for singing. The stars are bright above. The earth is aglow, and to add to the show, I think I am falling in love. Falling in love.
Why that song from State Fair, and not the Academy Award winner from the film? Well, because, as you must remember, Dick Haymes didn't sing it on the soundtrack. Jean Crane, or rather Luann Hogan, who dubbed the voice, performed It Might As Well Be Spring. But ever afterwards, it became part of Dick's repertoire, as did the other major ballad from Diamond Horseshoe.
Each time I look at you is like the first time. Each time you're near me, the thrill is new. And there is nothing that I wouldn't do for the rare delight of the sight of you. The more I see you, the more I want you. Somehow this feeling just grows and grows with every sigh. I become more mad about you, more lost without you. And so it goes. Can you imagine how much I love you. The more I see you, as years go by, I know the only one for me can only be you. My arms won't free you. My heart won't try.
That recording of The More I See You from Diamond Horseshoe came from one of two absolutely classic albums that Dick Haymes cut in the mid-50s for Capitol Records. Why it was such a short-lived liaison, I don't know. In the succeeding years, the records became more and more sparse. There was an interesting set with Cy Coleman, and in 1963, one with Ralph Burns. And then there's a blank of some 5 years. Towards the end of that period, I heard that Dick was living in Ireland, and in fact once caught one of his broadcasts from there. Then came the opportunity to talk with him for the Be My Guest program. And after we'd completed the main interview, I made this remark to Dick.
Well, I will say again to you that any time you'd like to get in the studio with me,
Yeah.
I'd happily make some records with you, because I think that there is a vast public in this country, let alone the rest of the world, who would be very, very happy to see a series of albums from Dick Haymes.
I'd be delighted.
Well, any time that you'd like to do something, I'm ready, willing, and able.
Well, I don't know what you want to do. You want to record with a trio, or?
Oh, I don't know. We'll put a 40-piece orchestra in
No.
there.
My goodness, that's Dreamsville. But no, I'll record with a trio with you if you'd like, and make them as demos and see what happens, you know.
Well, that was good enough for me. I was round to Dick's home in Barnes before he knew it. And he surprised me with a demonstration disc that he'd just cut. He'd been collaborating with film director Richard Quine on a movie that they'd made in Spain. And to the title music, I believe written by Johnny Keating, Quine had written some words and asked Dick to record the song. Here's just a part of it.
The first time I saw her, I started to grow. She taught me the things that a man needs to know. Now faint hollow footsteps, oh, I can hear my love's not where I am. So why am I here?
When I heard that, I had no doubt that if I could get Dick into a recording studio, it would be with not a trio, but a big orchestra. And eventually we planned 3 sessions. The first with some of Roy Budd's arrangements, the rest with Max Harris directing. In the middle of all our hard work, Dick rang me one morning with a terrible cold and told me that he'd been to his doctor and that they had diagnosed a tuberculosis spot on his lung and that he was being sent immediately to hospital in Midhurst in Sussex. As soon as he was out of isolation, each week I used to drive his wife Wendy down to see him, and I took him a cassette of the recordings that we'd done for his thoughts. He felt, after listening to them, that he thought he could remake a few with better results. Well, at last he was discharged, and we went back to work, with commendable results, I think.
The night is like a lovely tune. Beware, my foolish heart, how white the ever-constant moon. Take care, my foolish heart. There's a line between love and fascination that's hard to see on an evening such as this, for they both give the very same sensation. When you're lost in the magic of a kiss, her lips are much too close to mine. Beware, my foolish heart. But should our eager lips combine, then let the fire start. For this time it isn't fascination or a dream that will fade and fall apart. It's love. This time it's love, my foolish heart. Much too close to mine. Beware, my foolish heart. But should our eager lips combine, then let the fire start. For this time it isn't fascination or a dream that will fade and fall apart. It's love. This time it's love, my foolish heart.
My Foolish Heart from the album Then and Now. And I chose that because it was one of Dick's favorite songs, and it also reminded him of the great musical director that he'd worked with in earlier days, Victor Young, who wrote the song. That album, which is now a collector's item, had the desired effect eventually. First, Dick and Dick's brother, Bob, came over to London and gathered together as many copies as he could find of the album, and took them back to America to play them for disc jockeys. And then one day I had a call from Dick. By now he had retired to Spain, to say that he had been invited to take part in a TV spectacular called The Fabulous 40s with two of his former co-stars, Betty Grable and Maureen O'Hara. He was overjoyed, and so was I when I heard the show, which was introduced by Tennessee Ernie Ford.
Ladies and gentlemen, this was the golden age of Hollywood musicals, and it introduced many famous singers like Frank Sinatra, Bing Crosby, and a little later the great Mario Lanza. But there was one young man with perhaps the easiest singing style of them all. Whenever I appear at a state fair, I think of my next guest, because that was the name of his biggest motion picture hit. Ladies and gentlemen, in his first appearance in this country in more than a decade, it is with special pleasure that I introduce Mr. Dick Haymes.
Restless as a willow. I'm as jumpy as a puppet on a string. I'd say that I had spring fever, but I know it isn't spring. I am starry-eyed, vaguely discontented, like a nightingale without a song to sing. Oh, why should I have spring fever when it isn't even spring? I keep wishing I was somewhere else, walking down a strange new street, hearing words that I had never heard from a girl I'd yet to meet. I'm as dizzy as a spider spinning daydreams. I'm as giddy as a baby on a swing. I haven't seen a crocus or a rosebud or a robin on the wing. Still I feel so gay in a melancholy way. It might as well be spring. It might as well be spring. Thank you.
That TV spectacular opened the door to Dick's return, and his debut in America at the Coconut Grove in Los Angeles was captured on stage. Dick Haymes had come home.
Oh, boy. That was some diesel trip. And how about that roaring band of renown? How about those boys? Now, let's talk about you. You're here. I'm honored, and I thank you. Me? Remember, gang, when I first sang in Tommy Dorsey Land? It's been a long, long time. Tommy took me by the hand when Frankie left the band. It's been a long, long time. Perhaps you thought like Frank My tonsils were in traction. Maybe the king's asleep, but Haymes is still in action. You pay some dues, you sing some blues, but then you make a stand. It's been a long, long time. I have listened to the ticking of a lot of clocks. It's been a long, long time. I've been in and I've been out of that old batter's box. It's been a long, long time. The earth has turned a bit since Fox paired me with Grable. The old equipment's used, but it's still able. I've got that zing, thanks to ginseng. I've come into my prime. It's been a long, long time. I'd like to introduce my lovely wife, the latest. As you can see, the latest is the greatest. How nice to know that my libido's gonna do its thing for such a long, long time.
Since then, we've followed Dick's progress with interest and noted the bookings, and were pleased, in fact, to hear how he'd been invited to take part in a series conducted by Alec Wilder about the American Songbook, when he looked back on some of the songs of George Gershwin.
The way you wear your hat, the way you sip your tea, the memory of all that. No, no, they can't take that away from me. The way your smile just beams, the way you sing off key, the way you haunt my dreams. No, no, they can't take that away from me. We may never, never meet again on that bumpy road to love. Still I'll always, always keep the memory of the way you hold your knife, the way we danced till 3, the way you changed my life. No, no, they can't take that away from me. No, they can't take that away from me. We may never, never meet again on that bumpy road to love. Still I'll always, always keep the memory of the way you hold your knife, the way we danced till 3, the way you changed my life. No, no, they can't take that away from me. No, they can't take that away. No, they can't take that away. No, they can't take that away from me.
I don't really know how to end this tribute because, well, Dick Haymes, for him, the songbook will never be closed. We have his records, and we'll live with them forever. He was a man who saw the highest of heights in this business and the deepest depths. This afternoon, I had a call from Hal Shaper, who wrote not the last song that Dick ever recorded, certainly, because that belonged to an album which, in fact, the Dick Haymes Society in this country sponsored, along with a great friend of his, Roger Dooner. But Hal Shaper did record a song around 1977, which he wrote with Cyril Ornadell, and Dick Haymes also wrote one song, which we have yet to play sometime. This is a part of it. It's called Far From the Madding Crowd, and in Hal Shaper's little note to me, when he sent me the tape this evening, he says, "I thought Dick the very best of his generation, and his death came as a great personal shock to me. I think it's come as a great personal shock to all of us."
Someday, if I should die and I could choose the time and place, I'd pick me an age of charm and grace. This to myself I vowed, far from the world's uneasy pace, far from the madding crowd, and there, beneath the sky, I'd walk through the fields of clover green and try to be all I'd never been, gentle and clean and proud, humbled by all the things I'd seen, far from the madding crowd. And maybe in that peaceful place I'll find what I'm dreaming of.
That was Alan Dell with a short tribute to the late Dick Haymes.